Thanks for listening to Curious Cat, the podcast that examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. I'm your host, Jennifer Holtz. Join me every week as I explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit. Welcome to Curious Cat. Should we attempt to make contact with aliens, dead ancestors, go with our pals to a haunted locale and channel our own inner Zak Bagans? And what do we make of this new trend to play a certain strain of music, this layering of sounds that people are calling an alien dog whistle? Where is the most likely place to have a Bigfoot run-in? And should we bring gifts? In the weeks to come, we will be crossing the bridge to the supernatural. We will look at how long human beings have sought connections, the methods we've used and perfected, the trends, the risks, and how to mitigate those, and the hot spots across the globe. This week, we're looking to the skies and oceans in search of alien life. Let's get into it. All right, first up, are you wondering how to connect with anyone or anything? I feel like most of our energy right now is to putting up boundaries and barriers and disconnecting. So Thich Nhat Hanh says this about actually connecting. Quote, "Our breath is the bridge connecting our body and our mind. Returning to our breathing and following it all the way through from the beginning to the end with awareness brings body and mind back together and reminds us of the miracle of the present moment." End quote. And as we step into the supernatural, keep in mind these words from Bruce Lee. Quote, "The intangible represents the real power of the universe. From it springs all life and power and the love of all." End quote. As I put these thoughts to paper, bells and spirals showed up, and they would recur throughout the rest of my day. Bells clear energy, they clarify, and spirals, well, I had to look it up. The spiral symbol is universally thought to signify the cycle of death, life, and rebirth. The spiral's winding path can also represent the interconnectedness of all things, highlighting the relationship between the microcosm, or the individual, and the macrocosm, which is the universe. And in Buddhism, the spiral is associated with the wheel of Dharma, representing the law of the universe and the path to enlightenment. In some spiritual contexts, the spiral is seen as a symbol of a spiritual journey to a place beyond the visible world, representing evolution and the cycle of life. Okay, it feels like the universe was letting me know this is the right episode for right now. Is there something to gain, some value to connecting with the supernatural? Well, my experience and my gut both say yes. Well, actually, they're screaming yes. I searched the question and found some insights from various experts and sources. Here's what they had to say. Karen Jensen writes on her website, which I've linked to in the show notes, 6 supernatural benefits you don't want to live without. Here they are. Number 1, it equips you with power. Number 2, it reveals things to you. Number 3, it changes you up. Number 4, it gives you a hotline to God, universe, source. Number 5, it helps you pray and find the path forward when you're stumped. And number 6, it makes you bold. Other sources said, quote, "Belief in the supernatural can provide people with a sense of belonging in a world where we may feel insignificant," end quote. Templeton.org writes, according to existential psychologist Clay Rutledge, belief in the supernatural can function as an antidote to anxieties about our own mortality. Being open to supernatural possibilities provides hope and helps us make sense of a chaotic world. He says, quote, in a lot of ways, supernatural beliefs are a form of psychological medicine in that they help us deal with some of the difficulties in life and our need to grapple with the big existential questions, end quote. AI offered even more reasons to connect with the supernatural. Overcoming limitations. Those who walk in the supernatural are said to break through natural limitations, experiencing increased strength, wisdom, and resilience in the face of challenges. Spiritual warfare specifically. Walking in the supernatural empowers individuals to recognize and address spiritual darkness, such as demonic strongholds, and to break their power. AI even went into the personal benefits of looking into the supernatural, trying to connect with it. And AI said this, it brings inner peace and joy. The Holy Spirit, often associated with the supernatural realm, is believed to bring a peace and joy that transcends circumstances and challenges. Revelation and wisdom. Through prayer and seeking guidance from God, those who walk in the supernatural are said to receive revelation and spiritual wisdom that guides their lives. Increased courage and confidence. The supernatural realm is often associated with strength and courage, allowing individuals to face difficulties with greater conviction and resilience. Enhanced well-being. Walking in the supernatural is also believed to contribute to overall well-being, including physical, mental, and emotional health through prayer and connection with God's source or universe. Wow, thank you, AI, for that. Okay, I am convinced, but to be honest, I already was. But is it wise to cross every bridge we come upon in life that leads to the supernatural? Or should we just stick to the cute covered variety? Or how about that fancy pedestrian bridge near the Tower of London? What if it's a railroad bridge that's high up and missing boards? Sure, that'll get the old heart pounding because of the thrill, but is it a smart decision? As a society, I see us longing for deep connections again. And with that open heart and desire, we are seeking answers by taking really risky bridges. Your journey is just that, though. It's yours. Mine is mine. And connecting with energies and entities outside of ourselves can feel life-affirming, make us feel more deeply connected to the all, show us that there's more to this life than the physical 2D stuff, and can take us out of our egos, right? At least for a brief period of time. That's never bad. But we need to cross those bridges with all of our senses engaged. So there's a recent trend I teased in the intro. It's been hitting socials lately, the alien dog whistle. Have you heard of it? It is a frequency, or more accurately, it's a combination of frequencies that when played beneath the wide open skies is supposed to summon aliens. Some people have played the sequence and have snapped pictures on their phones of what could be orbs. I have my doubts, but I also worry about just calling aliens to my square patch of land. Then what happens? Nobody talks about what happens next. If you've ever invited over a dinner guest and they showed up at the front porch, would you slam the door in their face, like just slam it shut and leave them on the porch? Yeah, if that happened, your friend would be confused, maybe even angry and hurt. So how about the aliens? We call for them and then snap a picture, scream, run away. It just doesn't feel polite. The dog whistle thing is nothing new, though. We've been trying to get a reaction from extraterrestrials for decades. Here are some of our past attempts. Some theories suggest that certain electromagnetic frequencies might attract or be associated with UAP sightings. There's no concrete evidence to support these claims. Instead, UAP sightings are often linked to natural phenomena like plasmas or the presence of military or civilian airfields in the area. Here's a little more detailed explanation. Have you ever heard of SETI research? Some initial research, like Project OSMA, focused on the 1420 megahertz frequency as a potential communication channel with extraterrestrial civilizations. That, according to the National Security Agency. This frequency is associated with the natural emission of hydrogen, a common element in space, according to Wikipedia. However, this is not a specific frequency that attracts UAPs in the sense of causing them to appear. Plasmas. Some theories suggest that UAPs might be related to plasma phenomena, which are attracted to strong electromagnetic fields. These plasma are considered to be a type of superheated gas and can be observed in various natural phenomenon, such as lightning and thunderclouds, according to the Open Access Library. However, there's no evidence that a specific frequency causes these plasmas to appear or be attracted to UAPs. Airfield and military areas. Okay, I feel like I've heard this a million times on Ancient Aliens, but they say studies have shown that UAP sightings are more frequent near airfields and military airspace, that according to Popular Science. This is likely due to the increased presence of military and civilian aircraft in those areas, which can be mistaken for UAPs. So they're basically saying the observer is mistaken. They're just military equipment. Scientific consensus. Official government bodies, including the White House, Pentagon, and NASA, have stated that they have no evidence that UAPs are extraterrestrial in nature. That, according to News Nation. This suggests that the scientific community currently views UAPs as being terrestrial in origin. I'd like to share a tiny version of the story of Chris Bledsoe, and he is referenced in Diana Pasulka's books. I think both of them actually, and he had quite an incredible experience. He's had these ongoing communications with what he calls the lady, but it all started January 8th, 2007. Chris Bledsoe Sr. came face to face with extraterrestrial beings and had missing time. While on the banks of the Cape Fear River, Chris and his son Chris Jr. and 3 of his subcontractors experienced an array of unexplained phenomena, leading them to believe this was the end of the world. MUFON sent their highest trained team to investigate the encounter, only to attempt to debunk and ridicule the Bledsoe family. They also reported it to CIA, which got all of the national security groups in the face of the Bledsoes. Their experience was featured on the Discovery Channel's 2008 series, UFOs Over Earth, the Fayetteville Incident. This was just the start, though. Chris and his family have experienced a cornucopia of strange things since that original encounter, including a visitation and prophetic vision from a being Chris refers to as the lady. Multiple 3-letter agencies have been involved with the Bledsoe case, bringing increased attention and mystery to this ever-evolving story. He's also been working closely with previous guest of the Higher Side Chat, Diana Pasulka, and I've put the links in the show notes to both the Diana Pasulka interview on the Higher Side Chat and the most recent one with Chris's son, Ryan Bledsoe. Chris currently lives in North Carolina with his wife, Yvonne, and their 4 adult children reside nearby. He enjoys building projects, gardening, being in service to others, utilizing his new healing gifts, and traveling with his wife. Okay, I find their case so credible. And you know what? The government must find it credible too, because they've had every single agency reach out to the Bledsoes regularly to confirm their sightings and ask them about their ongoing communication. Some people have even said to the Bledsoes, yeah, tell us what these entities say, because they don't want to speak to us, government officials. There's another figure in the UFO UAP community that's pretty controversial. Many ask if he's a modern day snake oil salesman or if he's legit. His name is Dr. Stephen Greer. And if you're not familiar with him and his work and the app he created, here's an overview. Wikipedia, which very interestingly, this week has been aggressively taking down articles about some of the most prominent and established UAP experts in the United States. And Dr. Stephen Greer is still up there. I don't know what to make of that, except for one of the main criticisms of him is that he's an asset of the U.S. government, meant to shape our opinion and manipulate our perspective on the UFO subject. But anyway, I digress. His Wikipedia article is still up, and here's what it had to say. Stephen Macon Greer, born in 1955, is an American ufologist and a retired physician. He founded the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, also known as CSETI, and the Disclosure Project, which claims to seek the disclosure of alleged classified UFO information. Greer was born in Charlotte, North Carolina in 1955. He claims he saw an unidentified flying object at close range when he was 8 years old and another UFO when he was 18. He was trained as a transcendental meditation teacher and served as director of a meditation organization in the early 70s. Greer received his Virginia medical license in 1989 and worked as an emergency room physician. In 1998, he decided to retire as a physician in favor of his ufology activities. Greer founded CSETI in 1990 to create a diplomatic and research-based initiative to contact extraterrestrial civilizations. The group defined CE5, or Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, as human-initiated contact and communication with ET life. CSETI claims to have over 3,000 confirmed reports of UFO sightings by pilots and over 4,000 of what they describe as landing traces. This organization uses RAMITs, or Rapid Mobilization Investigative Teams, with the aim of arriving at landing sites as quickly as possible. CSETI has defined a psychic protocol for human-initiated contact to UFOs, and there's an app for it. I've even tried it out. In 1993, Greer founded the Disclosure Project, the goal of which is to publicly disclose the government's alleged knowledge of UFOs, ET intelligence, and advanced energy and propulsion systems. Greer describes the Disclosure Project as an effort to grant amnesty to government whistleblowers willing to violate their security oaths by sharing classified information about UFOs. And also, I have to put a footnote there, because he says that we have this clean energy. We have that knowledge, we have that technology, and we need to release it to all of humanity to save the earth. In October 1994, Greer appeared in Larry King's TV special, The UFO Cover-Up. In May 2001, Greer held a press conference at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. that featured 20 retired Air Force, FAA, and intelligence officers. In 2013, Greer co-produced Sirius, a documentary detailing his work and hypotheses regarding ET life, government cover-ups, and close encounters of the fifth kind. The film covers Greer's 2006 book called Hidden Truth, Forbidden Knowledge. The movie features interviews from former government and military officials. He went on to crowdfund yet another documentary, which is available on Amazon Prime. Dr. Stephen Greer is probably best known for those CE5 protocols. CE5 protocols refer to a set of guidelines and practices primarily developed by Greer to initiate peaceful contact with ET civilizations. These protocols involve using specific meditations, sound frequencies, and communication methods to potentially attract and communicate with ET entities. CE5, or remember, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, focuses on interactive communication and mutual acknowledgement rather than passively observing UFOs. Here's some key aspects of CE5 protocols. Meditation and sound frequencies. Those protocols often incorporate meditation practices. They actually demand a meditation and you get in a certain mindset before you even attempt to make contact. And also they use specific sound frequencies believed to resonate with ET consciousness. These protocols suggest using simple, repeatable signals like flashing lights or other synchronized actions to potentially signal and communicate with ETs. Some CE5 resources, like this CE5 Contact app, which you can get at any of your smartphone online stores, provide tools for finding others interested in CE5 activities and locating potential contact areas. CE5 practitioners often document their experiences using journals, allowing them to track personal observations, feelings, and insights gained from their practices. There's a safety and ethics to CE5 protocols, often emphasized because there's an importance to safety and responsible interaction if there's any ET life forms that might be encountered. Okay, so I mentioned that I did download his app and it's expensive, if I remember right. I thought it was over $30. Maybe it was like $20. I downloaded it 5 years ago and I gave it a try. I did like the meditations, I did, but I didn't get into the actual contacting aliens part of it all because I was scared. I was fearful. And I knew that that was the wrong mindset to come to potential contact with. So I respect Dr. Greer's take on alien life. And I like his assume the best about ET approach and perspective. And I also love that he is asking if we have already, as a government, developed clean energy tech, we need to give it to the people. So I love that messaging. There's so much fear surrounding the subject. So I find Greer a refreshing change. When speaking of contacting extra or interterrestrials, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the downside. It's known as the hitchhiker effect. I have thoughts about this, but first, here's what it is. The hitchhiker effect, in the context of UFOs, refers to the idea that paranormal or unusual events seem to follow people who have witnessed or been involved in a UFO sighting, even after they leave the initial location. This effect is often described as a lingering paranormal presence or a parasitic energy that attaches itself to individuals. So here's what it is. The hitchhiker effect is a claim that certain paranormal or unexplained events, like malfunctioning electronics or strange experiences, are associated with individuals who have had contact with or witnessed UFOs, and that these events continue to affect them even after they leave the initial location. Some reports of the hitchhiker effect include car malfunctions or strange behaviors, such as starting and stopping unexpectedly, electronics behaving erratically, experiences with telepathy or strange psychic abilities that they never had before. Skinwalker Ranch is famous. The term hitchhiker effect is often associated with reports from Skinwalker Ranch, a property in Utah that's been famous for its alleged UFO and paranormal activity. Many reports from Skinwalker Ranch detail strange phenomena and the belief that these phenomena seem to follow those who have visited the ranch. Some propose that the hitchhiker effect could be related to quantum entanglement or the interaction of consciousness with paranormal phenomena. Others see it as a form of paranormal contamination, where individuals have picked up unwanted entities or energies from a haunted place and not cut those ties and tethers, okay? That's so interesting. And as for my thoughts on this, well, if these other beings are benevolent and might endow us with some type of deep or universal knowing, which to the human powers that be might be equated to having an individual have too much power and possibly control, then creating a term like hitchhiker effect might scare people away from trying to make contact at all, right? I know it's highly paranoid, but I just had to mention it because in these crazy times, it does feel like many in power want to keep us in fear loops, which sucks our energy and ultimately distracts us from our soul work, which is not based in fear. So just a thought. After a quick break, let's take a fresh look at the map to call out alien-infested zones. Back in a minute.
Hi, I'm Derek Condit with Mystical Wares. I've recently published 2 books. The first is titled Shungite Unveiled. It's an FAQ and hidden insights to the miraculous mineral called shungite and how it can be used to help save the bees. It also contains chapters on shungite in healing, shungite in plants, the Shungite Grid Project, as well as ways to use shungite with animals and in construction. So it's a large FAQ or accumulation of ways to use shungite in everyday life. Then the second book I released is called Everyday Magic, and it's inspirational stories of intuition and awakening. So it's a collection of 18 short stories that I put together that can help to explain some of the metaphysical aspects of our reality that we're all experiencing. Either of these books are available at mysticalwares.com or Amazon. There's also additional information on how to help save the bees with our Shungite Beehive project. That also can be found at mysticalwares.com, and we appreciate your support.
Hi, welcome back. Are there alien hotspots or certain times, places, conditions, and other factors that increase your odds to observe an alien or catch sight of a UFO or UAP? I covered one during my special Cascadia season. I've put links to that episode in the show notes, but here are a few highlights. There have been rumors since 2020 that a glacier melted and created an opening used regularly by UFOs or UAP to enter and exit the mountain, Mount Adams. It's a UFO hangar of sorts. There's a video on this posted to YouTube, and I've added links to it in the show notes. From ESETI's website, Kenneth Arnold, who coined the word flying saucers in his 1947 report, said he lost sight of the luminous discs as they descended on the western slopes of Mount Adams. In the realm of UFOs and UAP, Mount Rainier and Mount Adams are inextricably linked. I found this account from Weird Washington that tells the tale. Coming of the Saucers, Mount Rainier. In late November 1896, a couple called Mr. and Mrs. St. John told the Tacoma Daily Ledger about a strange nighttime sighting. They told the reporter they were lying in bed around midnight, looking out the window. Mrs. St. John saw a strange light in the sky east of Mount Rainier. She woke her husband, and he saw it too. They said it was as bright as a lighthouse beacon. It flashed several times, and each time it flashed, various colored lights shot out from the center of the object like spokes from the center of a wheel. They saw the strange light move from the mountain, traveling southeast for several minutes. The couple did not change their position. They just watched it move, first from a window on the north side of their house, switching their view to the southern window. Based on the angle, this meant that the strange object moved a considerable distance. Did this strange object reappear over 50 years later? Because it was seen again in 1947. This sighting led to the popular use of the term flying saucer. The phrase owes its existence to a newspaper man's misquote of a pilot named Kenneth Arnold regarding a strange experience he had on June 24, 1947, and it was very similar to the St. John's experience in 1896. Kenneth Arnold lived in Boise, Idaho, where he owned a business that made and installed fire control systems. Business must have been slow in the summer of 47 because Arnold spent June 24th in his own airplane flying over the Washington Cascades. He was looking for a missing Marine airplane, hoping for the $10,000 reward that was being offered at the time. At 2:50 p.m., he was flying east over the mountains toward Mount Adams when he saw 9 large metallic flying objects with plasma-type middles. These flying objects were about 25 miles away at an elevation of 10,000 feet, traveling very fast. He noticed that they did not fly like ordinary craft in straight lines or make wide turns. Instead, they dipped and swerved, seeming to follow the mountain peaks from Mount Rainier to Mount Adams. Arnold started the stopwatch on his airplane control panel. Based on the distance between the two mountains, 45 miles, and the time it took them to travel, he estimated they were traveling at 1,200 miles an hour. At first, Arnold thought they were jet aircraft, even though their speed was far faster than anything we had in the 47s. Once the strange aircraft vanished in the distance, Arnold continued his search until he landed in Yakima, Washington. He reported the incident to the Civil Aeronautics Administration, and the next day flew to Pendleton, Oregon, where the press mobbed him. He gave several newspaper and radio interviews describing his encounter. Before Arnold's sighting, there had been earlier reports of similar objects if you look up the term Maury Island. He told the reporters that the 9 craft were about 100 feet across. They were thin and disc or crescent shaped, like a crescent moon. Although the front of the craft was round, the rear looked chopped off and came to a point. He said that he was amazed that there was no tail, as on a normal aircraft, and that the craft did not make any noise. When one of the reporters asked him how the craft maneuvered, Arnold replied that they moved kind of like a saucer would if you skipped it across a lake. The reporter wrote that down, that Arnold said the aircraft looked like flying saucers, and the misquote stuck. After a radio interview, a number of people from the Seattle area and the Midwest contacted the media to report seeing multiple flying objects on the same day. Later, on July 4th, a United Airlines flight crew reported seeing flying objects over Idaho. A few days after that, on July 8th, another flying saucer was reported to have crashed in Roswell, New Mexico. Okay, that one we all know, right? Newspapers contacted military officials who denied that they were testing experimental jet aircraft in the Washington Cascades. The military, in turn, interviewed Kenneth Arnold as part of their own investigation. Their questions centered on other natural phenomena that could have been responsible for the objects. Some suggested water droplets on the airplane window. Arnold replied that he had wondered the same, but that when he rolled down his window, the objects were still there. Others suggested that he got the time wrong or the distance, which would have given him the wrong speed. So it's clear that it's Kenneth Arnold's famous sighting of that silver craft over Mount Rainier that he tracked and watched disappear behind Mount Adams that tied the two mountains together in alien lore infamy. There's a group of remote viewers that are trying to save the world at ECETI. From Thrillist, I found this article on a group and location at the foot of Mount Adams determined to save the world through remote viewing. In Thrillist's article titled, "My Night Hunting UFOs at an Alien Ranch," Andrea Kasperzak writes, "So I saw this place on a late night documentary and I've always wanted to go. My friend Ash pinged me one day. I clicked through to the homepage for ECETI, short for Enlightened Contact with Extraterrestrial Intelligence. Located on a ranch in a small town of Trout Lake, Washington, ECETI professes a mighty mission to help with public awareness of ET reality and to assist people with connecting to positive otherworldly beings. This looks like a Christopher Pike novel," I typed back. "I'm in." After a 5-hour drive south from Seattle, we arrived at the ranch. Its entrance was marked by ECETI's official logo, a winged golden heart with a lion face. Continuing down the long wooded road, our cell phone signals cut out. White flags of peace flapped from the pine trees. Lenticular clouds loomed over the majestic, white-capped Mount Adams in the distance. I felt like I had fallen off the map of reality and into the pages of some YA fantasy fiction. ECETI founder James Gilliand has been hosting people at his ranch since 1986. Seekers from all over the world come to stargaze, explore alternative healing techniques, and speculate about the possibility that we're not alone in the universe. The biggest draw is the Skywatch weekends, which Gilliand hosts May through September. The hope is that for a $15 donation, you can see some UFOs. Arriving with zero expectations, Ash and I parked in the dirt lot and went inside the main lodge to pay for the night's stay. Visitors can camp out on the property for also a suggested donation of $10 a night. Pay with cash because it isn't a credit card kind of place, she says. With his tie-dyed shirt and scrappy ponytail, James Gilliand looks more like a deadhead than the self-appointed wingman for interdimensional beings. Gilliand claims he saw visions of Mount Adams after several near-death experiences while he was body surfing. He was drawn to the lore of this region, which goes back centuries. One Native American legend told of a secret doorway in the mountain from which otherworldly beings with healing powers would emerge. And it was near Mount Adams that in 1947, Kenneth Arnold made that first UFO sighting into modern history. There's 5 different species of aliens that live in the base of the mountain, Gilliand told us as nonchalantly as someone placing their morning coffee order. We smiled, we nodded, and scurried off to explore the property. Like Pee Wee Herman's Playhouse for the paranormal, there were wildflowers as far as the eye could see, a handful of yaks wandering around, and a mysterious orange watchtower. I later learned this is where Gilliand records his weekly radio show, As You Wish, which speculates about galactic mysteries and the existence of Bigfoot with various free-thinking guests. At sunset, we gathered for the Skywatch in the Field of Dreams. Predictably, the eavesdropping here was next level. One man discussed the supernatural powers of his ex-girlfriend. She knew when I was cheating because she could astral travel in her sleep and spy on me. People took turns sharing bizarre stories. Someone had watched souls slip out of corpses in Egypt. Another recalled a UFO encounter in the woods. Even more uncanny than the possibility that we'd soon make alien contact was the sense of total freedom and uninhibited expression at ECETI. Like being 5 again, you could say literally anything and no one would bat an eye. All perspectives and experiences of reality, no matter how odd or esoteric, were accepted. After dark, James Gillian emerged to lead the Skywatch, strapping on a pair of night vision goggles and instructing us to look upward. With a laser pointer, he directed our attention to small balls of light traveling across the night sky, occasionally flashing and pulsating. They looked like illuminated amoebas wobbling across the blackness. "See that?" Gillian asked, revving up the group. "It just flashed. Man, this one's dimming out. Oh, whoa, there you go. Did you see it? It flashed us. I think it's going to power up." Nothing drew more excitement from Skywatchers than the possibility of a power-up. The ECETI website identifies these hovering lights as metallic crafts, ships, and large luminous objects. During a power-up, they are throwing off tremendous energies, expanding to several times their original size and responding to the people below to demonstrate that they are under definite intelligent control. "We have to focus really hard," one Skywatcher chimed in. "It's getting brighter," someone observed. "Come on," Gillian urged, flashing his laser light pointer around on the light. "Power up. It's getting brighter. There it goes. That's the power up." The ball of light appeared to momentarily enlarge and flash, kind of like when Mario eats a super mushroom in Super Mario Brothers. The group cheered with the genuine enthusiasm of parents at a Little League baseball game. Gillian turned to me. "Want to try out the night vision goggles?" I nodded. I slipped the goggles over my head and wandered about in the darkness. The whole sky was lit up with stars that appeared to glow slimer green with the night vision goggles. Bright lights above me pulsated, then enlarged. I watched them whiz past at various speeds, performing some sort of celestial symphony. I can't say with any certainty that these lights were actually aliens out for an evening joyride, but I've done my fair share of stargazing, and the sky activity at ECETI was unlike anything I'd ever witnessed. And it's worth noting that I was sober as a judge. There's no drugs or drinking on the ranch. As if our experience at ECETI wasn't trippy enough, on our drive home the next morning, Ash and I saw a random alpaca standing alone by the side of the road, and shortly thereafter, a rainbow. It hadn't rained in days, but we knew better than to overthink it. Sometimes it's best to simply sit back and go with it. Okay, doesn't that remind you, and I have goosebumps, of the hitchhiker effect, where it's not during the certain event, but afterward that something paranormal happens? Are you curious about what countries see the most UFOs? This year, so far, the ranking is United Kingdom with the most observations, followed by the United States at number 2, Indonesia at number 3, number 4, Brazil, number 5, South Africa, number 6, India, number 7, Canada, number 8, Albania, number 9, France, and rounding out the top 10, Italy. Countries with the fewest sightings so far in 2025, Germany, Portugal, Netherlands, and Ireland. Here are the states to visit in the U.S. if you want to increase the odds you see a UFO. The U.S. states with the most reported UFO sightings were California, Florida, Texas, Washington, and New York. These figures are based on user-submitted reports to the National UFO Reporting Center. Here's a more detailed look. California is the state with the most reported sightings, with over 36,000 since 1974. Florida follows California with over 8,000 sightings. Washington also sees a high number of reports with over 7,000 sightings. Texas reports over 6,000 sightings, and New York, the Empire State, also reports over 5,000 sightings. It's worth noting that some states like Arizona, New Mexico, and Wyoming, surrounding Nevada, which is home of Area 51, also report high numbers of UFO sightings. If you want to avoid seeing anything strange in the skies, be sure your vacation takes you to North or South Dakota, Maine, Vermont, or Montana. And I love the inclusion of Montana in that list of the least frequented because some news outlets said that the increased sightings are due to states having less light pollution, while Montana proves their theory is completely flawed. Are you curious what town on the globe has the most reported sightings? Yeah, well, it's difficult to definitively pinpoint the town with the absolute most UFO sightings. Bonnybridge, Scotland is often cited as the world's #1 UFO location. This designation is based on its high number of reported sightings, averaging around 300 incidents per year. La Rumorosa, a Martian-like landscape in Mexico, also promotes itself as, quote, world capital of the UFO phenomenon due to numerous sightings. Other frequently mentioned hotspots include Roswell, New Mexico, of course, and San Clemente, Chile. Here's a more detailed look at some of those locations. So Bonnybridge, Scotland, it's located in the Falkirk Triangle. Bonnybridge has a long history of UFO reports and is known for its high volume of incidents. La Rumorosa, Mexico. This area, characterized by its unique landscape, has been promoted as the world capital of UFO phenomenon. Roswell, New Mexico, of course, famous for its alleged 1947 crash of an alien spaceship. Roswell is a popular destination for UFO enthusiasts and hosts an annual UFO festival. Remember when they there was a group of people on Facebook organizing that they were going to overwhelm the security guards and go into Area 51. I remember that. That feels like such innocent years ago, doesn't it? It was literally 5 years ago. San Clemente, Chile comes in last. This location is considered the unofficial UFO capital of the world with a large number of reported sightings. I hope this week you take some time to look up into the skies. You can't see anything unless you look up into the skies, right? And I hope you see something that surprises you. Not in a bad way, but in a, wow, there's more to life than just what I went through today and this moment for me. There's a much bigger place. That's what I've always loved about sky watching. It puts me in my place. I am a tiny speck in the grand scheme of things. Until next week, stay curious. I love you. Hi. I should just call this after the music, but I had to get behind the microphone and give you an update because I mentioned at the top of this episode about the alien dog whistle, and it's going around Reddit, it's going around X, it's going around other socials. And they're even saying and so all you have to do is Google UFO dog whistle and you can download the sound, and they say to play it on your Bluetooth speaker for the best results. But okay, I don't really want them coming over the sky above me. The second thing that has just happened, and I mean, this is bananas, is basically they're saying that this secret dog whistle technology that attracts ETs It's being used by several government agencies, and it risks opening a Pandora's box, and they don't quite know the extent of it. So people are saying it's like a whistleblower wanted to send this information out to the ethers, and because the government had control over this special kind of sound. But really, the truth is even stranger than fiction, because now people have said it's all of our alphabet agencies that created this tech. God only knows how long. We don't know how long ago. And so really, do we want to use it? Isn't it interesting? The UFO community they're tripping balls, man. If somebody does come out with real footage, whatever that's going to be, that however we can prove it's not AI generated or whatever, the second shoe that drops is, oh, they actually are an asset of this government. So it's actually propaganda. It's crazy. So anyway, I just jumped behind the mic to say, yes, the alien dog whistle thing is a thing. People seem to be posting their results, and they're getting results in the daytime and the nighttime. But I'm not really going to try it. I don't know if I buy that this was a whistleblower that gave us this tech, or if it's just the UFO community doing the UFO community. Anyway, have the best week. And I don't think I'll be jumping on for a second interruption of the ending of the podcast. But until next week, really have a great week. Stay curious. I love you.